गुरुजी से सबसे बड़ी चीज़ जो सीखने वाली थी ना, उन्होंने मेरा पर्सपेक्टिव ही पूरा उलट पलट दिया। जो मैं सोचता था म्यूज़िक के बारे में, मैं यही सोचता था कि म्यूज़िक में सक्सेस क्या है। वी आर प्लेइंग बिग हॉल्स, वी आर प्लेइंग बिग स्टेडियम्स, वी आर ऑन ऑल द रिकॉर्ड्स, वी आर रिकॉर्डिंग फॉर ऑल द बिग musicians. So that is success. My Guruji, he would often say, I met Udit Narayan ji. Once I was in Nepal and I was playing there. He just heard me and he invited me over to Bombay, but I never went. I used to be awestruck. Why? What better opportunity could you have gotten? You are sitting here in Banaras in a small house. ये आपका एक कमरा है, यहाँ पे आप बस यहाँ पे वीणा बजा रहे हो पूरा दिन। ये इसका क्या मतलब रह गया? ये आपको जब अपॉर्चुनिटी था, why didn't you go? That was my question. He just answered, यहाँ पे।
So thank you so much, Pulak bhai, for accepting our request to come on our show, and we are glad to have you on board. And कैसा रहा आपका सफ़र वाराणसी काशी से मुंबई का?
काशी से मुंबई का सफ़र काफ़ी लंबा था, लेकिन काफ़ी आराम से कट गया। बहुत मुश्किल नहीं रहा, आराम से आया हूँ। एंड थैंक यू सो मच फॉर इनवाइटिंग मी। दिस इज़ रियली वेरी, आई एम रियली ग्लैड फॉर दिस।
थैंक यू। सो ये आपकी जो जर्नी, म्यूजिकल जर्नी स्टार्ट हुई, सो हाउ डू यू गेट इनटू इट? मतलब कहाँ से, क्या इसका स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट था?
अगर पहले का मुझसे आप देखेंगे तो मेरा फर्स्ट गिटार मैंने 8th क्लास में ख़रीदा था। आई हैड अ लॉट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट बिफोर दैट। पहली बार आई थिंक फर्स्ट टाइम आई वॉज वेरी अट्रैक्टेड टू म्यूजिकल इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स व्हेन आई वेंट इन फॉर अ म्यूजिक क्लास इन माई स्कूल. आई यूज्ड टू स्टडी इन Delhi at that point. So I just went into that room and there were all these different instruments, a guitar, a piano, bongos, and I was just fascinated. And मैं पढ़ाई में बहुत अच्छा रहा हूँ हमेशा से. I was always a top scorer. And my parents always wanted me to pursue career, like proper engineer वाला career. But कहीं ना कहीं हमेशा से मेरे अंदर था कि म्यूज़िक करना है. Like that was an inner calling always. And my first guitar actually came through my studies. So एक इंटरनेशनल इंग्लिश ओलंपियाड होता है, IEO उसको बोलते हैं, बहुत सारे बच्चे देते हैं उसको. उसमें मेरा ऑल इंटरनेशनल रैंक उस टाइम पे 23 आया था. So I scored very well. I got a scholarship of around 2,500 rupees, and using that I bought my first guitar.
Great.
So
what was your age at that time?
I was in 8th standard.
8th standard, okay.
Around 13, 14.
Yeah.
Something around that age.
Okay.
So वहाँ से सीखना शुरू किया. I just स्टार्टिंग तो ऐसा था कि यूट्यूब से सीखेंगे, क्योंकि ये बोल के ख़रीदा था कि टीचर नहीं चाहिए, बस गिटार ले लो. एंड दैट वाज लाइक द चीपेस्ट गिटार ऑन Amazon एट दैट पॉइंट. अभी भी वही गिटार है, उतने का ही मिलता है. वो उस टाइम पे भी उतने का ही था, अभी भी उतने का ही है. तो दैट इज़ व्हाट आई परचेस्ड. एक ब्लैक कलर का गिटार था. सो उससे सीखना शुरू किया एंड अपने से सीखा 2-3 महीने. फिर उसके बाद एक फ्रेंड आया एक दिन घर पे, वो अच्छा बजा रहा था. मैं बोला भाई ये कहाँ से किया है मेरे को भी ले चलो. तो फिर गए, एक टीचर थे पास में ही थे, उनके साथ 2-3 महीना सीखा. जो बेसिक्स थे वो क्लियर हो गए कहीं ना कहीं. आफ्टर दैट इट हैज़ ऑल बीन सेल्फ टॉट अंटिल आई मूव्ड ओवर टू वाराणसी फॉर माई ग्रेजुएशन. वहाँ पे तो नेक्स्ट लेवल चीज़ें हुई मेरे साथ. दैट सिटी इज सच आई थिंक. एंड अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट it's been like music has chosen me and I have chosen music at the same time. So कुछ ऐसा जर्नी रहा है हमेशा. I was magically I connected with my Guruji. Like it was just purely coincidental. I used to have a friend and he wanted to purchase a guitar. So we went to a music shop. I just played to try out that guitar and the owner of the shop really liked it. He was like, आप कैसे बजा रहे हो ये, ऐसा तो यहाँ पे कोई बजा ही नहीं पाता है, ये वो ऐसे वैसे. We became good friends. After that I had many guitar students. I would recommend them to the shop. So we had a good connect. I purchased my sitar initially to do a diploma course in college. In Banaras Hindu University, we have this option. We can take up an ancillary course alongside the main degree out of any faculty, because there are around 50 faculties there. So we can get a course from anyone. So I naturally went to the instrument department and I took sitar. I purchased my sitar, but I was very disappointed with the course. Did not like it much. They were not teaching properly. It was just like a college वाला जो व्यवस्था होता है, सरकारी व्यवस्था, उस टाइप का सीन था वहाँ पे. कुछ ज़्यादा, हाँ बस एक क्लास होता है वो, एंड दैट टू हैपन समटाइम्स इट डजंट. वो कुछ समझाते नहीं. इफ़ यू हैव डाउट्स यू जस्ट हैव टू फिगर आउट. एंड इस चीज़ में डाउट्स ऐसे हैं ना कि आप खुद से फिगर आउट नहीं कर सकते. There is a very small resource that is available on the internet, and even to understand that you need a good perspective. So that was a very big problem. सो आई वेंट ओवर टू दैट शॉप ओनर, आई टोल्ड हिम ऐसा ऐसा हो रहा है. तो उन्होंने बोला आप चिंता मत करो, मुझे एक बहुत अच्छे आदमी पता है, एकदम संत आदमी है, आपको इतना अच्छा सिखाएंगे. एंड देन आई वॉज इंट्रोड्यूस टू गुरु जी, डॉक्टर संजय वर्मा जी से मैंने सीखा सितार उसके बाद करीब 9 months, एंड दैट हैज़ बीन ट्रांसफॉर्मिंग. Like in true sense, I think I became what I am today because of him. And what I'm preaching today, what I'm teaching today, it's 99% of him that is coming out through me.
ओके सो
That's-
इट ओनली हैपन जब आपने सितार सीखा और सितार उस गुरु जी से सीखा, राइट? बिफोर दैट यू वर प्लेइंग, आई थिंक, आई सपोज यू हैड गिटार राइट विथ यू, यू वर
Right,
प्लेइंग
right,
इट
right.
वेल. बट ये सब चीज़ें जो भी मैजिकल चीज़ें आपने बोला हुई वो काशी वाराणसी में आके हुई
Right, right.
और उन गुरु जी के साथ मिल के हुई. तो व्हाट मेड दैट चेंज? क्या वो मतलब एक कैटलिस्ट था जिसने ये चेंज किया?
Actually, like I told you, I was very good at studies. I was selected in all top colleges. I was selected in Loyola College in Chennai. So I was in Chennai at that point. That is the best college in Chennai. I made it to DU. I also got selected in BHU. But since I was from Banaras, I felt like वहीं पे graduation करते हैं. And there was also this idea in my head कि I want to learn classical music. When I was learning guitar, I learned everything. I was from start, like in 6th 7th, when I picked up the guitar initially, at that point I was a big pop fan, One Direction, Justin Bieber, Taylor Swift, or like normal kids. And after that there was a phase in my life when I discovered yaar ye metal music na next level cheez hai. And then I got into Guns N' Roses, Metallica, AC/DC, rock and metal, heavy metal American bands. And that was until 11th. I still like all of these music. Like I love metal music, I love rock music, I love to play the blues. Anytime I get a chance to hang out with a musician who does all of this, it's just a fantabulous time. But somewhere I could not understand what is this classical music because it would go over me. But I felt कि this is, people look up to it so much.
राइट.
What is there? I don't know. I just had that curiosity. ये क्या है, क्या इसमें ऐसा क्या है, मेरे को तो बिल्कुल समझ ही नहीं आ रहा है, इतना ज़्यादा इसको क्यों पसंद कर रहे हैं लोग. तो ये क्वेश्चन था. तो मैं कहा बनारस चलते हैं, वहाँ तो मिलेगा, इसका आंसर मिलेगा, और कॉलेज भी रिलैक्स्ड रहेगा थोड़ा, आई विल हैव अ गुड टाइम. सो बनारस पहुँचा. वहाँ पे बनारस में इनिशियली आई जॉइंड अ म्यूज़िक क्लब इन माई कॉलेज. I left that in around 3-4 months. It got saturated and nothing new was happening, so I just quit that. They were just doing the same thing over and over again. I got bored, and then we started singing on ghats. So me and a friend, we were just out on the ghats, and there we met some amazing people. Like we got noticed. We were playing well. We used to have a crowd that would recognize us because every week we would come there, and the same crowd would come and just to hang out with us. So such things started happening, and then we started getting bigger opportunities. So I got into a band, and then I got into a serious sitar course, and then Guruji happened. So like I said, it's like I chose music, and at the same time music chose me. It has been a reciprocating relationship
Right,
that
right.
way.
So if I can ask you, what is the one difference, or you can say the differences between playing a guitar or playing a sitar? What could that be? I mean, or understanding, for that matter, understanding guitar or understanding sitar.
It's actually a completely different perspective that the music has. Like when we are listening to a Western band or modern Bollywood music, what are we looking for? We are looking to dance. We are looking to sing along. We are looking to, enjoy with some friends, hang out in a group, sing the same songs and such things. It's for enjoyment. But when it comes to Indian classical music, it is about changing yourself, transforming yourself. It's basically yoga. It's basically sadhana. It's the same concept, just means are a little different.
Yeah.
So that is what it is about, and that's the big difference. It's not about giving yourself or expressing yourself. That is a part of it, but through that expression, you also transform yourself. So that is a big aspect.
Right. So आपको लगता है कि आजकल जो young generation है, they are more inclined towards this Western music than our own Indian classical music?
देखिए, उनकी गलती भी नहीं है. It's not like they are inclined. Obviously, they are inclined, but it's not because of them. Like this was never told to them, and nowadays nobody understands sadhana properly. You need a guru to understand it properly. Even I did not understand it up to a very long point in my musical journey, I had absolutely no clue what this Indian classical thing is. I just saw it as very strange and ये क्या है, मतलब I had no clue about it, absolutely no clue. So it just takes a bit of explaining, and I think that's why I've started making these reels also, just to put that out there and get the word out so that more people can connect to it. It's
Yeah.
about the perspective shift.
Right.
Like if you just look at a classical musical performance, starting में आलाप होता है, right? They're just going to sit for half an hour and just do people get bored because they don't know what's happening. If you understand what is happening, then you will enjoy that. They just look at it from the wrong perspective.
So what do you think can change? What do you think can change their perspective? Why do they think that it's boring?
Like I said, they don't understand it.
या सो बेसिकली जो आप प्ले करते हैं गिटार, जो एक वेस्टर्न इंस्ट्रूमेंट जिसको बोला जाता है, तो हाउ इट कैन बी इंटीग्रेटेड यू नो बाय प्लेइंग रागाज ऑन इट. आप कैसे उसके ऊपर राग अगर प्ले करना है, आपको करना है, तो कैसे करते हो आप? हाउ डू यू डू इट?
Actually, to be very honest with you, it's very difficult because Indian classical music is a type of music that is in between the notes, and Western instruments are not designed that way. In fact, a very good example of a Western instrument that has been adopted into Indian classical very well is the violin. You will find a lot of people playing the violin and it sounds amazing. But you will not find many people playing a piano, ragas on a piano, ragas on a guitar. People do that, but it can never sound that good. The reason for that is because Indian classical music lies between the notes.
Right.
It is not on the notes. And to play between the notes is very difficult on a guitar. On a violin, it's possible because there are no frets.
Right.
You can just glide between them. It's about the movement, how you move through the notes.
Right.
If you want to understand this better, we need to understand how ragas work. And obviously, we can play them and we can incorporate them. So, how I incorporate them, the answer to that would be when I'm trying to write a melody, I just try to think in terms of ragas because that helps you portray emotions in a set manner, express yourself a lot more easier. They provide like a framework to you, a starting point you can use and express yourself. So that is how I integrate. But it's very difficult to play Indian classical music on a guitar. That's almost impossible. In a way.
जो इंडियन क्लासिकल म्यूजिक है, इट्स मोर अबाउट नोइंग योर सेल्फ, राइट?
Yes.
जैसे जो भी आप प्रयास करते हो, व्हाट डू यू कॉल दैट?
Yes, इसको रियाज बोलते हैं.
रियाज बोलते हैं.
Right.
रियाज करते हो तो हाउ, आई मीन कैसे ये इट इज़ नोइंग अबाउट योर सेल्फ, कैसे होता है ये? एंड हाउ स्पिरिचुअलिटी इज कनेक्टेड टू द इंडियन क्लासिकल म्यूजिक?
Okay, so in Indian classical, we are just trying to reach the swaras. Swaras are the notes, so sa re ga ma pa dha ni sa. And even in that, when we play a tanpura, so they have a big drone instrument, right? The tanpura. All the singers, even when we are playing an instrument, that drone instrument just keeps going in the back. It provides us a plane with which we try to align ourselves. So when we are doing an रियाज ऑफ सा, ऐसा सुबह सुबह सारे सिंगर्स का, इवन जितने भी इंस्ट्रूमेंटलिस्ट हैं, उनका भी सबसे पहला रियाज होता है सा का रियाज. उसमें क्या करते हैं, सा लगाते हैं, बस एक नोट लगाते हैं अलग अलग तरीक़ों से. सो आई विल जस्ट शो यू विद अ गिटार. सो व्हेन वी ट्राई टू डू इट, ये सा का रियाज इज लाइक दिस इज सा एंड दिस इज सा. वी आर जस्ट ट्राइंग टू अलाइन इनटू द सेम नोट. So it's like matching yourself to something that is beyond you. In this process, we are trying to forget ourselves. We are trying to leave everything that is here and just focus on that sa. Just try to connect with that. And in that process, you are just discovering more and more about what is beyond this mind, what is beyond this body. So that is how it is so spiritual. And when you're connecting with a raga, इसको कहते हैं राग सिद्ध करना. There's a process in music when you practice a lot, and you have blessings from the deity.
जैसे मंत्र सिद्ध करते हैं basically.
Right, जैसे मंत्र सिद्ध करते हैं वैसे राग सिद्ध करते हैं. आपने कहानियाँ सुनी होंगी कि दीपक जल जाता था जब तानसेन गाते थे.
Right.
ऐसे बारिश हो जाती थी जब तानसेन गाते थे.
Right.
So that is what happens when you get राग सिद्धि. That is वो राग, you have so much control of that, because the idea is that anything that has a form can be reproduced through a sound. and vice versa. So if you want to make someone feel like it's raining, if you just produce a certain sound just by hearing to those notes, they can experience rain even if it is not raining outside. So हमारे यहाँ बनारस में ना एक सेमी क्लासिकल फॉर्म होता है जिसको कजरी बोलते हैं. कजरी का ना एक इफेक्ट होता है. इफ़ यू जस्ट लिसन टू अ कजरी विच इज डन प्रॉपरली, you have a cooling effect on yourself just by merely listening to it. And
if you can play that.
नहीं, you cannot play. We cannot play it. It's a vocal thing.
So आपने ऐसे बताया कि you know with your ragas and with your all this you can make them feel that ambience, right?
Right,
So
right,
how
right.
do they work? If you can show me.
Okay. So first thing, it's not my raga or your raga.
Right,
It's,
whatever.
raga is something that is bigger than us.
Right.
It's an entity that is beyond us. It has a personality of its own. It has a mood of its own. So you are a Bhairav sadhak, right? You like to do Upasana of Bhairav Bhagwan. So this raga is known as Ahir Bhairav.
Oh.
And it has that tattva, that Bhairav tattva of taking, like destroying everything around you. It's very intense, very like, you know, it will just encapsulate you. And I'll just play that. And like if you just close your eyes and purely listen, like just forget everything and try to concentrate on this, you can feel that, like. So that's like, it takes you into a mood. So this is mood of this raga. If I just change a couple of notes, so this is another raga. This is known as Rag Yaman. So in many Bollywood songs also they are using this raga. It has more of a romantic vibe to it. Like that's what it's got. Ras alag hota hai. So every rag has a different ras, an emotion, a mood attached to it. So that's how they are built. Like I'll just play that. So like the feeling is completely different. And that is why, like, if you just listen to it this way, it is less encapsulating and it's very difficult to demonstrate, in fact. And that is the reason why Indian classical performances are so long and they have specific parts to it. This is why initially they have an alap that goes on for half an hour.
Right.
In that, they are just going to open up the raga very slowly. They'll just take time doing the same things over and over. You just have to sit there with your eyes closed, focus on what is happening. You will really be taken to another plane. That is how powerful it is. And after that, they get into the bandish. That is when the tabla begins and the gut starts. Like they start doing the words. Some words will come in. And after that, it goes into a climax phase. That is the final phase of it, where everything becomes very fast and the raga is flowing through you and the complete climax happens. So that is how it works. So that is why it takes time actually. It's a very small demonstration.
राइट राइट सो टू टॉक अबाउट म्यूजिशियन, मतलब पहले के ज़मानों से ना, जब किंग्स राजा हुआ करते थे, उनके हर किंगडम में म्यूजिशियन वॉज अ मस्ट, मतलब म्यूजिशियन होते ही थे. सो I mean, from ancient times, they've realized the importance, the spiritual aspect of it. Be it our gods. अगर हम बात करें सरस्वती माँ की, तो सरस्वती माँ हैज़ अ वीणा इन अ हैंड. तो क्या मतलब आपके हाउ डू यू लुक एट दीज थिंग्स, और क्या आप जब आप अपने कोर्स में आप सीख रहे थे अपने गुरुजी से, तो क्या ये सब चीज़ें यू वर टॉट टू यू, ऑल दीज एस्पेक्ट ऑफ इट?
It was never directly taught to me, but you can understand it very easily. Actually, every instrument has personality to it. For example, a Saraswati Veena, it's tender, it's motherly. That's why it's with a goddess. There is another form of a Veena which is known as a Rudra Veena.
That is with Shivji.
That is with Shivji. Ravan plays that.
Right.
It is very intense.
What's the difference between both these Veenas? I mean, in terms of
The
melody or music, if I can ask.
The music is the same.
Okay.
Just the style in which it is played. So every instrument has its plus and minus. Every instrument is constructed in a way to be able to play certain things better than the other instrument. So a Rudra Veena is used in Dhrupad. So Dhrupad is a form of classical music that is very ancient. Actually, when we talk about Tansen, we think he used to do all this like modern classical music. He never did any of that. He used to do Dhrupad. It's even slower. It's even more ancient. And that was how classical music was before Mughals invaded. That is how it used to be. In that, the Rudra Veena is used. It's very slow. It needs to have a very bass-oriented voice. It'll take you low and low. And that's why it has two big tumbas. It's a very big instrument. Generally, it is advised for females not to play it.
Oh,
There are such things as well. And Rudra Veena, in specific, श्रापित इंस्ट्रूमेंट है, ऐसा बोलते हैं.
oh, why?
इसमें ऐसा श्राप है कि जो इसको बनाता है वो मर जाता है.
So there are no Veenas, Rudra Veenas now?
There are, and this is a more spiritual understanding of it. Practically, people are making them, but there are stories. Actually, the purpose of this is that the Rudra Veena has to be the last instrument made by instrument maker. It has to be his masterpiece, the best of the best which he can make. After that, he will not make any more instruments.
Right, right.
So that is the significance of a Rudra Veena.
So are there any teachers who teach to play Veenas in
Yes.
Kashi? Are there any teachers?
My Guruji plays Vichitra Veena. It's a form of a Veena. And Saraswati Veena is taught widely, actually, and it is still played. It's used a lot more in Carnatic music. Even in Hindustani music also it is used. In Carnatic music it is known as Tanjore Veena. So that Veena is taught everywhere. Actually, if you look at it, all of these are just Veenas. Veena is a word for a stringed instrument. Veena is basically just a stringed instrument. So we have different forms of it. There are many different forms of a Veena. Rudra Veena is kind of declining. Vichitra Veena is kind of declining because the music which is played on them is declining as a whole. I doubt you would have ever heard of this word Dhrupad. Even if you might have heard of it, I doubt you understand what it is and what that music is. You might never have heard that.
Right, right.
So,
I believe those who are musicians, those who are in this field, most of them might not have heard of it. Those who are not inclined towards this aspect of music.
Right.
So while in Kashi, when you were playing on the ghats and all that,
yes.
so what was it like and how it is? Obviously, it is very different from playing in a recorded studio, or it's very. I mean, the feeling might have been very different.
Right. So I'll just tell you a story for this. There was once a musician, you will recognize him, Ustad Bismillah Khan Sahab.
Yeah.
He was from Banaras. He was called over to the US to migrate there. They asked him to come over there. And his reply was, I just need two things. मुझे आप वहाँ पे दो चीज़ें दे दीजिए, एक गंगा और दूसरा गंगा का घाट, क्योंकि इसके बिना मेरा संगीत निकलता ही नहीं है. So it is obviously a vibe, and the energies are different. The atmosphere is different. People are enjoying, but there are problems with it as well. Many people just come there to have a good time, and they don't respect this properly. So such things also happen.
Right.
But it's a very good experience, and it is very inspiring to play there. You come up with very good ideas. I think the atmosphere is such in general.
कोई भी काशी से आता है, उनसे अगर मैं मणिकर्णिका घाट के बारे में ना पूछूं तो that doesn't सर्व द पर्पस. सो आपको कभी चांस मिला है कि उसके आसपास रह के कुछ म्यूजिक आपने प्ले किया?
एक बार हमने एक शो किया था, पूरी रात मणिकर्णिका घाट के पास में हमने रात भर भजन किए थे. एक डिवोटी थे एंड दे वांटेड टू डू दीपदान. पूरे रात उन्होंने दीपदान करने थे. दे हैड मोर देन 1000 दियास टू डू दैट, एंड वी वर प्लेइंग इन द बोट. सो पीछे चिताएं जल रही थी और आगे हम वहाँ बोट पे बैठ के शिव भजन गा रहे हैं पूरी रात. सो दैट वाज अ नेक्स्ट लेवल एक्सपीरियंस. सो वहाँ तो कुछ अलग ही चीज़ है.
ऑब्वियसली जो वहाँ का होता है उसको तो फियर नहीं है वहाँ पे जाने का या वहाँ पे रहने का या आसपास जैसे आप बता रहे कि आप वहाँ पे म्यूजिक प्ले कर रहे हो, प्लेइंग द म्यूजिक, बट दोज हु कम्स फ्रॉम आउटसाइड, राइट, तो जस्ट फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ विजिट, जैसे आजकल बड़ा चल पड़ा है ना सोशल मीडिया पे कि मणिकर्णिका घाट एंड काशी
Right, right.
और you might have seen that, you might know this, that there are a lot of visitors in Kashi, in fact more than the people visiting Goa, they are visiting Kashi Banaras today. So उनका पर्सपेक्टिव थोड़ा अलग अलग होता होगा, आई फील के जब आप ऐसी चीज़ों के पास मणिकर्णिका घाट स्पेशली जब आप जाते हो, बिकॉज यू हैव नॉट सीन, एंड आई बिलीव 24 आवर्स वहाँ पे चिता जो हैं जल रही होती हैं. So with regard to the Kashi Vishwanath, if we talk about, and if we talk about the culture of Banaras, or as you say Kashi, so वहाँ पे कैसे आप अपने गुरुजी से मिले, उनसे आपने क्या ऐसी चीज़ सीखी, ऐसी क्या म्यूजिकली ऐसी क्या चीज़ें सीखी जो काशी के कल्चर को, काशी का कल्चर जिससे आपके अंदर आया. If you play music now, so one can feel like that vibe in your music.
राइट. एक्चुअली गुरुजी से सबसे बड़ी चीज़ जो सीखने वाली थी ना, उन्होंने मेरा पर्सपेक्टिव ही पूरा उलट पलट दिया. जो मैं सोचता था म्यूज़िक के बारे में, मैं यही सोचता था कि म्यूज़िक में सक्सेस क्या है. वी आर प्लेइंग बिग हॉल्स, वी आर प्लेइंग बिग स्टेडियम्स, वी आर ऑन ऑल द रिकॉर्ड्स, वी आर रिकॉर्डिंग फॉर ऑल द बिग म्यूजिशियंस, सो दैट इज सक्सेस. माई गुरुजी, he used to narrate the story often just to explain this to me. He would often say, I've met Udit Narayan ji. Once I was in Nepal and I was playing there. He just heard me and he invited me over to Bombay, but I never went. I used to be awestruck. Why? What better opportunity could you have gotten? You are sitting here in Banaras in a small house. ये आपका एक कमरा है, यहाँ पे आप बस यहाँ पे वीणा बजा रहे हो पूरा दिन. ये इसका क्या मतलब रह गया? या आपको जब अपॉर्चुनिटी था, व्हाई डिडंट यू गो? दैट वाज माय क्वेश्चन. ही जस्ट आंसर्ड, यहाँ पे सुख चैन है, और क्या चाहिए? वहाँ जाएंगे बिजी हो जाएंगे, ये संगीत छूट जाएगा. संगीत से दूर नहीं जाना है. इससे जितना लग के रह सकते हैं ना, उतना बेहतर है. सो वो एक मतलब आई ओपनर था मेरे लिए, दैट दिस इज़ नॉट अबाउट रीचिंग हाइट्स, दिस इज़ नॉट अबाउट बीइंग फेमस, दिस इज़ नॉट अबाउट बीइंग एवरीवेयर. It is more about just spending your whole life, devoting yourself to it, perfecting your craft, just losing yourself, just nothing else. You have no expectation from it. It's pure bhakti. So that's how it happens.
Right.
So वो चीज़ है बनारस में, और इसीलिए बड़े बड़े संगीतकार हुए वहाँ पे. बनारस का जो घराना है बहुत फेमस है. बहुत स्पेशल स्टाइल्स भी हैं बनारस में. चीज़ें ना ओपन ज़्यादा हैं, उतनी टेक्निकल नहीं है. टेक्निकलिटीज़ भी हैं, बहुत सारी हैं, ऐसा बात नहीं है व्हेन आई एम सेइंग दिस, बट फ्रीडम उन्होंने बहुत लिया हुआ है. इसका एक बहुत बड़ा एग्जांपल है ना तबले का. पंडित किशन महाराज जी का वहाँ पे घराना है. इज़ वन ऑफ द बेस्ट तबला प्लेयर्स दैट द कंट्री हैज़ सीन. ही कम्प्लीटली ट्रांसफॉर्म्ड हाउ तबला इज़ प्लेड. अब बनारस में तबला बजता है तो जो बायां होता है, जो बड़ा वाला तबला होता है, एक दो तबले होते हैं, एक छोटा होता है, एक बड़ा होता है. हर जगह बाएं पे हाथ लगा के बजाया जाता है, उसको दबा के बजाया जाता है. बनारस में उसको खुला पीटा जाता है.
खुला पीटा जाता है, as in?
They just bang on it.
Okay.
Not throughout the performance, but there are certain sections when that happens.
Right.
So that is the signature style. That is how the sound comes, and that just tells you like they are breaking all the rules.
Right.
And that's how people are, and that's the atmosphere there. Just to make it louder, to have that fun element. ये ऐसा बीच में ऐसा धम से आवाज आता है एकदम. So such things are there, and that is there on all instruments. So बनारस में जितने घराने में जितनी चीज़ें हैं, सब चीज़ों में ना इस तरीके की चीज़ें आपको बहुत मिलेंगी. फन एक्सपेरिमेंटेशन टाइप ऑफ थिंग्स. सो ये चीज़ है बनारस में, वहाँ के म्यूज़िक में.
राइट. नाउ आई नो कि आप अपने जो सोशल मीडिया के थ्रू आप जो लोगों को सिखाते हैं, जो अभी आपने सीखा है, तो वाई यू इंसिस्ट मोर ऑन द मोर ऑन लर्निंग इंडियन क्लासिकल म्यूज़िक? ऑब्वियसली जब आपको वेस्टर्न सीखना है तो आपको पहले ये भी सीखना है, अलॉन्ग विथ इट ये भी सीखना है. तो मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि फॉर एग्जांपल अगर आपसे कोई गिटार सीखने आता है या कोई भी म्यूज़िक इंस्ट्रूमेंट सीखने आता है, जो भी आप सिखाते हैं, तो हाउ डू यू कन्विंस दैट पर्सन कि सपोज फॉर एग्जांपल आई एम कमिंग टू यू एंड आई एम नॉट एट ऑल इंटरेस्टेड इन इंडियन क्लासिकल म्यूज़िक, बट आई फाइंड इट दैट बोरिंग, राइट? तो हाउ डू यू कन्विंस मी कि अगर मुझे आपसे ही सीखना है, और मैं ये भी, आप ये भी बोल सकते हो कि आपको नहीं सीखना तो जाओ किसी और से सीखो, राइट? इफ़ यू आर नॉट इंटरेस्टेड. मैं बोल रहा हूँ मुझे आपसे ही सीखना है, बट हाउ डू यू कन्विंस मी?
ओके, सो द प्रॉब्लम इज़ नेवर विद इंडियन क्लासिकल म्यूज़िक. अभी प्रॉब्लम लोगों को इस बात से है कि हमारे ऊपर ना ये लेबल नहीं लगना चाहिए दैट वी आर ट्रेडिशनल, वी आर ओल्ड फैशन, वी लाइक टू लिसन टू इंडियन क्लासिकल म्यूज़िक.
राइट.
nobody would ignore this fact that we want to take ourselves higher. We want to devote ourselves to music in such a way that it transforms me into a better person. Nobody will deny that. The only problem is the name. So I just don't take that name. I say I don't even insist them to learn ragas. I don't teach ragas to people who don't want to learn, obviously. I teach them Western music, but the approach is that you have to devote yourself. It doesn't matter what.
Why do you think, I mean, how do you think के ये नाम कैसे खराब हुआ? एग्जाम्पल अगर वो बोलते हैं कि दे डोंट लाइक टू एसोसिएट देमसेल्फ विद दिस, कि यार हमें लोग एक स्टीरियोटिपिकल मानेंगे या वट एवर इट इज, सो व्हाई इज दैट? मतलब ऐसा क्यों हुआ और ऐसी शुरुआत कहाँ से हुई? इफ यू कैन हाईलाइट दिस.
आई थिंक ये फैड है बस एक तरीके का. पीपल डोंट वांट, मतलब हमारे साथ भी रहा है, हर जनरेशन में होता है. वी डोंट वांट टू लुक बैक. अभी हमारे पेरेंट्स की जो चीज़ें दे आर नॉट कंसिडर्ड कूल एज सच, राइट? बट इट्स जस्ट अ थिंग. So they just don't want to get associated with that label that we are into this. Their friends don't like it. It's social pressure, peer pressure, such things are there.
But do you think when they get mature or एक certain age के बाद, when they get experience and learning or playing all these instruments, they get to know कि यार मुझे अगर अपने इसमें आगे बढ़ना है इस field में, तो somehow I have to learn this as well, listen to this as well. Do you think ऐसा होता है? Most of the लोगों के साथ ऐसा होता है.
Actually, India में if you are a musician, if you are doing it professionally, it is a requirement.
Right.
That you know classical music.
Correct.
Because कोई आएगा और बोलेगा कि अभी हम लोग ये राग में ये बजाने जा रहे हैं, इसमें कोमल नहीं लगेगा, and when you are standing there like this, you will be thrown out.
Right.
So if you are doing it professionally, it is a necessity.
Right.
That you have to know, because the culture, the work environment here is such. You will not find people who are just trained in Western music. You have to be versatile. You have to learn it. So that is one factor.
Okay. So आपने बात करी कि पहले टाइम पे ऐसे म्यूजिशियन ऐसे ये होते थे, प्ले करते थे, तो it used to rain, right? मतलब you feel like it's raining, like जैसे हम बात कर रहे हैं. So आज के टाइम में आपकी नज़र में ऐसा कोई है जो ऐसा प्ले करता है? Obviously it will not rain, but what I'm trying to say is कि वो आपको impact वो फील हो अगर आपने किसी को प्ले करते हुए सुना हो.
You feel this with many people actually, but आजकल ये हो गया है ना, classical musicians have turned into circus jokers. Most of them. That is because of the audience. उनको करतब देखने हैं, उनको म्यूज़िक नहीं सुनना है. अब because people cannot understand classical music, उनके पास इतना patience नहीं है that they have to listen for half an hour. Most of them. All they can appreciate is speed. Oh my god, they played so fast. Oh my god, ये ऐसे घुमा के ये ले आए. Oh my god, ये मोर का आवाज़ निकाल दिया, ये रेलगाड़ी चला दी तबले पे. Such things are appreciated nowadays. Unfortunately, because they don't know it. And that is what most classical musicians nowadays are doing also. Because they need to do that in order to make
survive.
a living, in order to survive in the market. It has become a necessity now.
Right.
My Guruji used to complain a lot about this. Very sad with this. He's disappointed with all the major classical musicians nowadays. This is what they are doing. And when you ask me, have I ever felt that? I felt that with Guruji's music. So when I listened to him, I have played sitting next to him. We have recorded together. It's really a next level experience, and that's why I've always doubted, why didn't he go forward and do all this? But then his answer was always that I don't want any of that. I don't want any fame. I don't want any money. He never charged me a single rupee. I would sit in front of him almost 3 days a week for more than 2 hours. Never charged a single rupee from me. He had very limited students. He never opened up a class, although he could. But such was his nature. His personality was such. So,
but I think you are carrying his legacy forward, and you are imparting this knowledge to other through social media. I mean Instagram and all that.
Just trying.
Yeah. So जैसे आपने बताया, I've read about you कि आपके कुछ 2 students they went on to become celebrities as well. So what is that thing? What is that uniqueness about you? जैसे मैं example कोई आपके पास सीखने आता है, तो what is your approach in starting their journey?
So मेरे साथ I think one big factor is that I am very much into music. And I like experimenting. I like to incorporate guitar into classical. I like doing fusion a lot. So जो मेरे 2 बच्चे हैं, अनिकेत और विजेता, वो दोनों एक्चुअली भोजपुरी गाते हैं.
Great.
घाट पे गाते हैं. और अभी तक जो भोजपुरी म्यूज़िक था ना उसको किसी ने गिटार पे गाया नहीं था. तो उनका हमेशा ये क्वेश्चन रहता भैया इस पे बजाना है तो कैसे बजाएंगे. सो आई यूज टू थिंक ऑफ इट एंड आई यूज टू सजेस्ट टू देम इसको ऐसे करो ऐसे करेंगे तो ये बेटर हो सकता है. तो इस तरीके से उनका इंटरेस्ट आया, इस तरीके से उन्होंने इसको प्ले किया एंड पीपल रियली लाइक्ड इट. इट कनेक्टेड विद देम. इट वाज अ न्यू टेक ऑन समथिंग ट्रेडिशनल.
राइट.
सो
सो कोई ऐसा ही न्यू टेक, कोई ऐसा ही फ्यूजन अगर आप इफ यू वुड लाइक टू प्ले
I
व्हाटएवर
would
कम्स
like
टू.
to play. Actually, in order to do all of this, right, you need multiple instruments.
Right.
And I'm not much of a singer. To just play guitar and sing. If we have, I am planning. Actually, me and Guruji together, we are planning to do albums, and we are producing things. So such things are going to come out very soon. We are working on a lot of things simultaneously. So we are working on fusion projects.
Yes. Okay. So any new, any aspiring person who want to learn all these instruments, what is that one advice you would like to give?
Be serious, yeah. Don't come to this if you just want to impress somebody. Don't come to this because this is cool, because you will just leave it very quickly. It's very difficult, first thing, and it is beyond all of that. If you are coming to this is a beautiful opportunity for you to explore a field that can really transform you. So if you want that to happen, join this journey. If not, you have better options. That's what I say every time.
Right.
You can get a nice motorcycle or you can get some nice clothes.
because in colleges, no, colleges, the people will get guitar and they'll say they'll think that they'll look cool and they'll have girlfriend after this and all that, right? So as you rightly said, जो ये purpose से इसमें आते हैं, then very soon they leave it. They'll buy the guitar, but very soon they'll not be playing at all.
Right. क्योंकि कभी इंटरेस्ट था नहीं उस चीज़ में. इंटरेस्ट कुछ और चीज़ में था. ये बस आपने ले लिया था कि उससे शायद वो चीज़ मिल जाए. समटाइम इट्स नॉट दैट ये होता नहीं है, होता है, लेकिन उसके लिए अगर कर रहे हैं तो आपका परसेप्शन टुवर्ड्स इट इज़ वेरी लो. दिस इज द स्मॉलेस्ट थिंग दैट यू कैन अचीव विद दैट.
Right.
Achieve that if you want to. It's okay, it's good. I'm not saying that you shouldn't. But when you have done that, try to go beyond it also.
Right. So ऐसा कोई person है जो, for example, I'm very very much interested in Veena basically. तो अगर do you know anyone जो online या फिर online भी नहीं, अगर offline भी सिखाता है, in person अगर कोई person any teacher that teaches the Veena, if you would like to quote name if you know someone, so that people can come to know and they also go towards that instrument as well.
Actually, they can go towards that instrument, but I will not quote any name as such. The reason for that is because Guru is very personal.
Right.
And every one Guru who might be right for me might not be right for you.
Correct, absolutely, rightly said.
And my Guruji is perfect for me. If you go learn from him, maybe his approach is not right for you.
Correct.
You might like some other guru.
Right.
So it's a very personal question and you should explore people.
No, what I was trying to ask is, do you know someone who teaches Veena online, so that people can from all over the world they can go to that person, or not any specific person, whoever you know, or do you know any organization who is doing this, any band who is doing this? That's what my question was.
Mackay is a wonderful organization.
Okay.
Through them you can find out a lot of resources.
Right.
They are playing a foundational role in reviving Indian classical music and introducing it to the youth. They do a lot of workshops, they do a lot of performances, they will connect you with people. Like you can get in touch with them. Other than that, still I would advise, take time. Because it is very easy to fool yourself. You don't know what you're searching for. Somebody will just come in and they will charge extravagantly.
Right.
In the name of Indian classical, we are from this gharana, we know this. But actually they will give you nothing. They'll just... nowadays there's a trend, they just write down things on paper and they ask you to play it like it's Western music. That's so wrong. Like that's commonly happening.
Right.
And most people are not teaching it properly. Most people don't even know what they're teaching.
Right.
It's like that.
Yeah. So one last question. We have come to the end of the podcast. So what motivated you to start your journey to teach others what you have taught? I mean, what you have learned. What is your motive behind that?
I have experienced a lot through this. I have transformed myself. I feel like if I can give this gift to somebody else and they can feel it, I don't feel anything can be better than that. So that is a big reason. I just want to give this gift to everybody.
Right.
So that is a primary motivation. Other than that, it feels really, really nice when somebody, like currently you are sitting here. I think today you learned a lot of things and now your mindset is open to it. Perhaps you will go home and listen to some music now and try to look at it from that perspective.
Right.
And just thinking about this impact that I'm making, it makes me feel really good. I feel like I'm contributing towards something.
Yes, definitely you are doing a very good job, and I wish you all the best for your future projects.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.